Kirk Cousins made a shocking announcement that he was playing through an injury down the stretch in the 2024 season. And I want to unpack all of this with you guys today because I think it has some major ramifications for Cousins and for Raheem Morris moving forward. But if you missed it, Kirk Cousins was on Good Morning Football at the start of Media Week for the Super Bowl, and he said this: against the Saints, I got hit pretty good in my right shoulder and elbow, and from there, kind of dealing with that was something I was working through and just never really could get it to where I wanted it. First off, at least now we know what happened, because for the longest time, myself included, none of us could make any sense as to how Kirk Cousins just completely fell off a cliff from the first 9 weeks of the season, throwing 17 touchdown passes, going 6-3, beating the Bucs at home in overtime, breaking Matt Ryan's single-game passing record to a completely different quarterback weeks 10 through 15, including a 4-game losing skid and no touchdowns in that stretch. So at least we have some level of closure as to how Kirk Cousins just completely fell off a cliff. He was playing through an injury to his throwing shoulder and elbow. Second, Kirk Cousins, with this announcement on Good Morning Football, completely pied Raheem Morris. Just a big old shaving cream pie right to the face, because Morris, over the next couple of weeks and months, is going to be speaking to the media a lot, including 2 weeks from now at the NFL Combine. And you know what the number one question Raheem Morris is going to get? Cousins was injured and you never said he was injured? Yeah. This is Kirk Cousins just dropping a grenade and walking out of the room going, good luck dealing with this, guys. So, after finishing the TV show Monk, I'm going to do my absolute best to be my own Adrian Monk right now and say, here's what happened. Because there are a lot of dots that need to be connected, and I think I've got it pretty much all figured out. Let's start at the very beginning, which is when this injury happened. Week 10 against the New Orleans Saints. This is the play, and if you take me off screen really quickly, Dylan, we can look at how this happened here because Peyton Turner has a clean run at Kirk Cousins because Caleb McGarry is in the fetal position. In McGarry's defense, Lindstrom trips him. I'm not really sure who to blame here. I'm not going to pretend to be an offensive line coach, but it was a little bit of a poor, deal for McGarry in that scenario. But this is the play where I think Kirk Cousins injures his right shoulder and elbow. Now, after this game, if we move forward to going into Week 11, Kirk Cousins, I went back and looked, was on the injury report for Wednesday, limited with a right shoulder, right elbow. Now, he said, being Cousins, that was a clerical issue, and he was a full participant for Thursday and Friday. My estimation is Kirk Cousins did not want to sit out. He knows the pressure is on with Michael Penix sitting on the bench, that if he were to miss some time due to an injury and Penix played well, they never go back to him. So I can see the motivation for Cousins to play through an injury, and that's also just what a lot of players do. Is that what's best for the team? No, clearly not. And that's partially on Raheem Morris for not putting the team ahead of Kirk Cousins because, of course, he wants to play, but there are plenty of examples of players wanting to play through an injury. But if he is going to hold back the team, then the coach has to make the decision that's best for the team. And that did not happen. And that resulted in this: 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 4 straight losses from weeks 10 to 14 that completely sunk the 2024 Falcons, who were 6-3 going into the last third of the season, were eyeing a home playoff game, and all of a sudden, they are in the backseat hoping the Buccaneers slip up down the stretch. That part right there, I'm placing more blame on Raheem Morris. Sure, you can be mad at Cousins for not taking himself out, but this is pro sports. We also get mad at guys when they don't play through an injury, and we call them soft. So, to me, that's something I'm going to put squarely on Raheem Morris's shoulders. Now, speaking of Raheem, he either A, did not know his quarterback was injured during this 4-game losing streak. I'm not sure if that's worse than B, he covered it up to stick to the Falcons' original plan, which was Kirk Cousins for, I would say, at least 2 seasons, and then turn it over to Michael Penix. You can decide on your own which one is worse. Raheem Morris being the head coach and not knowing his quarterback was injured? Or B, knowing the quarterback is injured, not sharing it with anyone through countless media sessions where both Morris and Cousins were peppered with, is Kirk healthy? And every single time they said yes. So circling back to Kirk Cousins saying on Good Morning Football that he played through a right shoulder and elbow injury, started to give me some deja vu, right? Started to get the memory tank going here. Because I recall in December when Kirk Cousins, halfway through this losing streak, said, here's Josh Kendall's tweet, he feels good physically. Quote, I would love to tell you I'm fighting through something, but that's not the case. That's exactly what the case was, Kirk. We were lied to. We were lied to by Kirk Cousins. We were lied to by Raheem Morris. Or we were lied to by Kirk Cousins, and Raheem Morris does not know his starting quarterback is injured. I'm not sure which one is worse, but they're both very, very bad. What's next? I think a fine. A lot of money is exchanged on the NFL. And there are a lot of bettors who wagered on the Atlanta Falcons because they thought the starting quarterback was healthy, because the injury report never said he was injured. So if it comes out that the Falcons knew Kirk Cousins was injured and never put anything on the injury report for all that time, when Kirk Cousins himself just announced he was playing through an injury, once again, Kirk putting his foot in his own mouth, in front of the media, in front of a microphone, someone's going to have to pay for this. Because I think we are very close to a big lawsuit coming to the NFL when all these gamblers get together and do a big class action lawsuit and say, we would like a refund on all of our losses from the Falcons games we bet on because we were led to believe Kirk Cousins was healthy. He just told us he wasn't healthy. Do you not see how this is a major problem for the NFL? And it's going to continue to snowball as they continue to be more involved in gaming and gambling? Before we get on to the rest of today's episode, I do want to give a big shout out to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's an awesome thing to do before the big game because they have Patrick Mahomes' passing yards at 0.5. They're just giving it to you. So take this, pair it with one more stat projection, and you are ready to roll. Download PrizePicks today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. Circling back to Kirk Cousins, after this statement, I don't think there's any chance he comes back as the backup quarterback. He just put Raheem Morris in a very difficult spot because either Morris looks super incompetent and doesn't know that his starting quarterback was injured, or he knew that Kirk Cousins was injured and didn't do anything about it. I don't see a world where they bring that elephant into the locker room to be the guy that's supposed to mentor Michael Penix as his first season as a starter. That's a recipe for disaster. And that's what I have been preaching, not exactly to this effect, but to the overarching idea of you cannot bring Kirk Cousins to be the backup for Michael Penix when you signed him to be the starter. That's not what's best for Penix. You should get a backup that wants to be the backup, not a backup who's got his helmet on, strapped up, and ready to go in at any given moment and is not there to try and prepare Penix every single week and to be a backup. Unfortunately, financially, there's nothing to gain by moving on from Cousins. And plenty of people have pointed that out across numerous publications as evidence as to why they will retain Cousins to be the backup. Because there are no cap savings to be had. You release him before June 1st, Nothing. You make him a pre-June 1 trade, good luck finding someone who wants to take on his contract. Why would they trade for Cousins when after seeing what he just said, they can probably connect the dots on their own and realize you're going to release him. So we don't have to give up a draft pick for him. We'll just sign him for the vet minimum, like how the Steelers signed Russell Wilson for the vet minimum last year after Denver released Russ. Designate him as a post-June 1 release, and you can take that $65 million dead cap hit and split it over 2025 and 2026. You can pick your poison. Do you want to bite the bullet all in 2025, or do you want to split it across 2 different off seasons? I would do this option right here because the salary cap is going to go up and up and up, and the percentage of this dead money hit will go down, down, down as long as you continue to spread it out over multiple years. But put money aside for a second here. Think about what is best for Michael Penix. Is it Kirk Cousins as his backup, or is it anyone else? I would say anyone else. I think you, right now, sitting in your car, avoiding going into work in Alpharetta, in Decatur, or anywhere else in Atlanta, would be a better backup for Penix than Kirk Cousins because you, right now you, sitting in your car in the drive-thru, would not try and be the starter. You do not need a backup who wants to be the starter with a starter that is a top 10 draft pick. The goal is to build and support Penix, not to bring in competition. That's not this backup's role. In other cases, yeah, that is the case. When you've got a clear-cut quarterback battle brewing, by all means, bring in the best competition. I am looking for a backup that can teach Michael Penix the ropes, show him what it's like to be an NFL starting quarterback, how to watch film, how to prepare every single week. And I don't get the sense that Cousins is going to bend over backwards to help the guy who was drafted to replace him to be the best version of himself. So here are some free agent options the Falcons could look at to be their new backup. I've broken them down into tiers. Here is tier 1 through 2. These are guys who I think could be potential starters still. Like, teams could view them as starting quarterbacks. You're not going to go after pretty much anyone here. They're just going to be too expensive. Maybe Jacoby Brissett. He's been brought in to be a starter a handful of times. The Browns, the Patriots. So I could see teams looking at him as no longer a viable starter. And maybe that's a great move for the Falcons because I think he would do an excellent job of helping Penix bring him along and learn and, the ropes and whatnot. Tier 3 through 4 now. These are guys who are backups and know they are backups. Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, Mac Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, Trey Lance, Drew Lock, Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota. Atlanta has a little bit of experience with the last 2 guys right there. So the quarterback that I would look at, Andy Dalton. I think he's done a good job of fulfilling this role in Carolina behind Bryce Young. And when his number was called, he played pretty well. And when Bryce Young started to heat up again down the stretch last year, I thought he did a very good job of supporting Bryce Young. I've heard nothing but good things of the Red Rocket as a backup. And I think that would be an excellent mentor for Penix at the end of his career because he likely knows I'm not going to get a lot of phone calls to be a starter as I nearly turned 38 years old. But if Atlanta wants to pay me $5 million to get a nice house in Milton, all right, I'm in. We'll get a place in Lake Lanier. We'll have a great day. We'll have a nice summer. So that is my preferred free agent quarterback target for Atlanta to back up Penix and not Kirk Cousins. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you enjoy our free content, and we will be back tomorrow with a live show.